All right. We are live with the one, the only Mr. Brian Bell from Belltube. Let me start off. I feel like I start all of these by just doing this similar thing, but thank you so much for making the time here, Brian. I'm not saying this just because you're on the stream with me right now, but I genuinely mean this. You are one of my favorite channels to watch. I feel like it's a really unique vibe that you have, and it's not just the one for the road, but it's just what you bring to the table. I think is really cool and really different, and I just always love your videos. So I'm really excited to talk to you here today.
Cool. Thanks, Jake. I have to say the feeling is mutual because I've watched all your videos and I can't say that about everybody. So I
Wow.
like what you're doing too. I think you've got the right idea and how you're, coming at BookTube really authentically you. So feelings certainly mutual. And thank you for the nice compliment. It's good that people like the show.
Yeah, it's awesome. Thank you so much. That wow, that's crazy. It's crazy to hear. It means a lot to me. Hello, we got some people coming in. We
Nice.
got Andrew the Wizard. We got Cal the High Storm. Mortals. That's true. We are mortal. Um, okay, well, I feel like I need to start with this with you because we just talked about this somewhat recently. Is the taking a slight dive into the lit RPG stuff,
Hmm.
but also into the audiobook stuff.
Yeah.
Because both of them are lit RPG is very new to me. I've read a little bit of progression fantasy in the Michael R. Miller books.
Okay.
I'm like a little bit past halfway through Defiant right now, so
Okay.
I've gotten a reasonable sample size just from that series, but that's all I've done. And so the idea of full on lit RPG is kind of a new territory for me. And then the audiobook side is like I've tried it a little bit in the past, and then just my mind wanders a little bit, and I
Sure.
was nervous, right? So to do both at the same time is an
Yeah.
interesting little thing. NA's here. What's up, man? Thank you for popping in anyway.
Hey, and
Um, that the concern is just that I'm either going to be mind wandering or I'm just not going to get sucked into the story. And I listened to about probably a little bit over an hour of the Dungeon Crawler Carl
okay.
audiobook yesterday. I ended up starting with that one for whatever reason. I was going
Sure.
back and forth so much, but
Yeah.
I ended up with that one because I was like, this is the big one. This is what everybody talks about.
Sure.
This is everyone's favorite. So let me try it. And man, I don't know if I'm sold, to be honest. I'm
You
going to
gotta
give it more time.
Yeah, you gotta
But
give it more time. I mean, if you're on an hour, I would say you're not, it's something new. And both lit RPG and audiobooks, if you're new to both of them or either of them, they're an acquired taste. And it's kind of like if you drink, the first time you drank a beer, you probably didn't like it. Most people didn't like beer the first time they drank it. And yet all of a sudden, a lot of people drink beer. It's just an acquired taste. And I have found lit RPG to be extraordinarily addictive. And with the right narrator, that is really an actor, right? These are voice actors.
yeah,
They're
for
not just,
sure.
up there reading a story to you. They're voice actors. And if you get the right one, they elevate the written word to a whole nother level. So I think I would give it a little bit more time,
Hmm.
both to get used to it and also to say, hey, is this just my first beer? Right. And nobody
Sure.
likes beer, their first beer, but have enough of it and maybe you do. So, and if you're not a beer person, think of something else that the first time you tried it, it just, yeah, you don't know. And then you sort of get a little bit more into it. And I think that you'll find, especially in lit RPG, it becomes a little bit addictive. Like you want to find out what's going to happen next to these characters because most of them are pretty quick paced. So,
Yeah,
I'm such a huge
definitely.
proponent of it. So yeah, I hope you end up liking it. And if you don't, worst case is you say, hey, I gave it, the yeoman's effort, right?
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna circle back to that. But I just want to say hi to a couple of people who popped in.
Sure.
Alex coming in to the stream. What is up, my man? Slay is here, even though he has some rough internet. And thank you for including me as an amazing person. That's very nice of you.
Hey,
Appreciate
Slay.
that. Um, and look who we didn't even have to summon, but he showed up anyway, and now he wants a beer, which is hilarious. Uh,
I can't wait to meet up with Philip in person. We are going to have so much fun.
Oh, that'd
I
be a blast.
I don't know when it's gonna happen, but it's going to happen.
There you go.
I think he has nominated me to be group coordinator, so
That sounds about right.
that falls in my wheelhouse, so I'm good to go with that.
An in-person Quilluminati meeting sounds pretty cool.
Absolutely, and
Yeah, that's pretty
absolute
cool.
worst case scenario, I know I'm gonna go to Worldcon next year, and I'll see lots of people at Worldcon.
I very much wanna go. I think it sounds awesome.
Yeah,
I just
and
need to
hey,
make sure I
guess
can.
what?
It's in August?
It's in August, and you are a YouTuber, so any money that you spend towards going, you're gonna expense that right off because this is a side hustle.
You know what? That's actually a very, very good point.
Mhm.
Hey, we got Chris in here, Bearded Book Beast. What's up, man?
Hey, Chris. Triple B.
Triple B.
I thought I was double well, if I'm double B, then he's triple B.
He might be more than triple. That beard is pretty glorious.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I was telling him, like, I can't grow a beard. This is as good as my facial hair ever looks.
You know, it's weird. I was talking to my niece about this. I actually have about a week's worth of beard here, but
Mhm.
because I'm under the lights and so much of it is, the silver fox at this point, it looks a little bit patchier than it does in real life. So
Okay.
I was thinking, should I put that, the color in and go back to more of my dark hair up on top? And I don't know.
I
I've heard arguments for both so far.
Yeah, I honestly I like the, like, silver fox. I think it looks cool, like, I remember when my dad started you get some gray on the temples and his beard started going gray, and I was like, "That looks cool." Like,
Yeah,
I don't know. Get
yeah,
some Dalinar vibes going.
yeah.
Oh, Philip might go to Worldcon too. I think everybody's trying to go to Worldcon, to be honest.
Well, it's not in America, every time,
Right.
so this is a great opportunity for a lot of us to get together. Of course, it's in, the upper northwest part of the country, so it's not particularly convenient for anybody who lives on the East Coast, but
Uh-huh.
or in the southern part. But hey, it's probably easier than getting to Scotland. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's about as far away from me as it could be and I'm, like, down by Miami, so it's pretty far for me, but hey, what are you
yeah,
gonna do?
exactly.
Josh Eats Books, what's up? Hello, sir. We did have a very important question that I wanna make sure that we do not skip
Sure.
because I've seen this question pop up on other lives, and I feel like a real booktuber that it's now on mine. How much mayonnaise is too much mayonnaise?
I'm gonna say if the mayonnaise is soaking through the bread and you're actually holding the sandwich, but it's slipping out of your hand because the mayo has, just gone so deep within the bread, it's now come out the other side. That's
Mhm.
too much mayonnaise.
My answer is any mayonnaise is too much mayonnaise because I don't like it.
Oh,
There's
well,
my boring
fair
answer.
enough. Fair enough.
All right, let me circle back to your, of course, dude, I watch a bunch of these streams, I see you pop up all the time. Um, so the back to the lit RPG stuff we were talking about, like, the voice acting and that whole aspect of this thing, right?
Oh, can I interrupt one quick
Yeah,
second?
yeah,
I
yeah.
never interrupt a question, but because Philip is listening, he needs to hear this. Philip, Jake is glitching out on my end as well. So it's not just you, Philip. You're not cursed. I don't know why, but I know that's gonna make Philip feel better. Okay. I interrupted. Let's go back to the question.
Alright, so, just thinking about that aspect of it, I do really like that,
Mhm.
and, what kinda got me interested in that even interested in trying this again, was seeing when Andy Serkis did The Lord of the Rings and Hobbit and all that stuff, and just his voice is just incredible, and
Right.
I love him so much, and so I was like, "Man, maybe when I do a reread of Lord of the Rings at some point, I'll do that."
Sure.
But, this kinda came up sooner and, anyway, so, I jump in and I do really respect and like that a lot, and I'm not gonna lie which is actually really funny. My initial thought was, Jeff Hayes, is that his name? Who does
Yes. Yeah.
Dungeon Crawler Carl books?
Yep.
And I was like, "This sounds like Patrick Warburton."
Yeah,
Like, it
he's
sounds
doing it.
exactly like it.
Yeah, he's doing it intentionally.
Okay, because then I noticed I think Patrick Warburton is listed on one of the later
He
audiobooks.
is. He's in book 6.
This is amazing. It's so funny. I love Patrick Warburton, so
I'm friendly with those guys over at Sound Booth Theater.
oh, cool.
They've sent me some audiobooks, and I was just talking to their COO Justin yesterday, and yeah, I'm trying to work some stuff out with Sound Booth, so should be pretty funny. And
Yeah.
Philip, You know what? It's even worse because when he puts a comment up, it doesn't clear up. So it's a good thought though,
Yeah.
Mr. Doctor Technology.
Your technology. Yeah, this is, I'm even worse, but, what are you gonna do?
Hey, as long as the audience can see both of us, it's totally cool.
Here we go. Aaron, hello. Joanna is here. Hello, Joanna.
Hello, Joanna. Hi, Aaron. Love both of those people.
I need to catch up on Joanna's, last few videos. I've been running behind.
Oh, she did a great live last night with Alan from Library of
I
Alexandria,
saw that.
and
Yeah,
they
I need to
did
watch the replay.
the Betrayer booktube tag, and I'm actually going to film that later today or tomorrow
Ooh,
because I'm going
that
to
sounds
take
cool.
that tag upon me.
Here you go. Reader's Journey, hello. Chance is here.
Hey, Chance.
Uh, Jim is here. What's up? Okay, here maybe this is a good question for you. Certainly way better than me. Recommendations on trying to get into audiobooks.
Yeah. So I think a couple of things. I would not do huge epic fantasy or big space opera in audiobook because it gets it gets a little challenging sometimes to keep track of everything. And in a book where there's just a lot going on, like we talked about, in the middle of Malazan right now. But if it was that or the Wheel of Time, or even if you've never read Lord of the Rings or seen the movies, there's a lot of characters, and sometimes you want to slow down, right? So if you're reading a an author like an Erickson or a Jordan or a Janie Wirtz or somebody, and you want to slow your reading down, it's a little tricky to do that on an audiobook and go back 30 seconds. It's just
Sure.
it's not ideal unless you're really familiar with audiobooks. So I guess my advice would be try to find a more straightforward story that has a tight cast of characters, meaning that we're not all over, millions of continents. Maybe find a standalone book or a shorter trilogy and try to do that. So I think those would probably be my recommendations where you don't have to try to remember too much, and also something that is somewhat exposition light. So it's not just a bunch of info dumps because that will, I think, take a newbie to audiobooks and have them tune it out, right? Because you were talking about how your mind wanders and you're thinking about other stuff. And if you're just getting a bunch of world building, information, that's not totally gripping. So, something that's a page turner, something that, moves at a good clip where you're hearing it and it's grabbing your attention away from your mundane day-to-day life that your mind may wander off to. Audiobooks aren't for everybody, but again, if you're somebody that likes performance and you like to go to a play or you like to, watch great movies, these audible narrators are truly, they're voice actors and they bring something to the story beyond just the story. I'm listening to Alan do Philip's book right now. It's fantastic. And I love Philip's books. I recommend his trilogies all the time, but
Yeah.
it's even cooler in audio because I just like the different characters.
Yeah, I really wanna check that out. Like, I don't reread often, but that's one that I definitely would do because I
I
love the way it
never
began, and
I
I wanna check it out.
never reread. I
Yeah,
just it's not that I don't want to, and it's not like I don't think I can get extra information out of it because I know I would. It's just TBR Mountain is ginormous, and I have this FOMO that I have so many books on TBR Mountain that if I go back and reread something, I'm taking away
yeah,
from my new stuff.
100%.
But this is an exception, right? The Way of Dan. You'll hear me say this all the time. I read my friends' books. If I'm lucky enough to have friends that are competent enough to write a good book, such as Philip, and he's certainly beyond competent, or Tori Tekin, or any number of
Mhm.
friends on BookTube that have their own books, I'm going to read them. That's to me part of my friendship with them.
Yeah,
So
agree.
if Alan's going to do an audio, I'm friends with Alan. I'm friends with Philip. I will make that reread exception and go do it. And I'm glad I did because, I mean, I'd tell you backstage if it wasn't great, but it is great. Alan's awesome. So,
I'm sure.
yeah,
I'm sure it is.
yeah. And I think he's even going to hit the second and the third books even harder because I think the just That's the word I'm looking for. Not the fear, but just the hesitation in knowing the technical aspects of creating an audiobook. Now that he's got that, under his belt, so to speak, I think that his brain can 100% focus on just performance only and not thinking about how to do it. So I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's probably like anything creative or entrepreneurial, anything that you don't have a bunch of experience with, right? You got to get one under your belt first, and then everything else is so much smoother. I do want to highlight this super quick because I'm a massive Dexter fan. I have a blood slide tattooed on my leg because I love it so much,
Cool.
and so I need to, and I also need to get into Stephen King. So maybe that's a good way for me to try it.
Very neat. Yeah.
Cool. That'd be cool. Yeah, a lot of people talking about just loving those that Adan audiobook. I'm with Alex too. I was trying to wait for the Broken Binding edition. I'm gonna get it anyway, but I just
Hmm.
had to jump in sooner. Like it's just I've
Yeah.
been
I mean, it's like if you're going to support anybody, why not Philip? I mean, come on. Is there a nicer guy on
I
BookTube? No.
mean, exactly. I tried to I messaged him on Twitter and asked if there was a way to get signed copies of the paperbacks, but he didn't have one yet. So I had to get the
Hmm.
normie regular Amazon paperbacks. And
Well,
we'll get the signed Broken
as he
Binding.
ascends up the ladder of well-renowned authors, I bet you there'll be all kinds of versions.
Probably so. Maybe if we all make it out to Worldcon, I'll see if I can bring him and get him
I
signed in person.
promise you, he would sign it in person.
That would be amazing. That'd be amazing. There's been a couple questions about comics. You're a comic guy? Do you still read comics as you go here, or
So I
slowed down?
don't. I started reading comics in the late 70s and I read them all the way through the late 90s. So I've got about 20 solid years of comic books every single week. And I've got
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
probably 13 to 15 big comic book boxes that are everything is plastic, sealed,
Yeah. Yeah.
heat
Yeah.
sealed. Literally every Spider-Man that came out from the late 70s to the late 90s, I have. Same with Batman, same with whatever. And I have no intention of ever selling it. So I don't know why I'm keeping them in the conditions that I am and essentially unreadable because they are heat sealed.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I mean, I grew up on it and I still watch all the animated stuff that comes, through Warner Brothers. So like all the DC animated
Hmm.
comics, I'll read that. If Marvel ever does anything, I'll see those movies. But yeah, I'm very, very familiar with everything that's happened in comic books up until say the last, 20 years. But I think that a lot of it is probably rehashing some older stuff.
Probably. I could see that. That's one of the things that I didn't grow up with that, right? So now I'm here that I think I would be really, really into it, but it's just so overwhelming to think about. Because for me, I'm the type of reader that I like to start at book one and work my way through everything. I'm
Hmm.
a completionist with books, not with
Right.
everything, but certainly with books, and that's really hard with comics.
Yeah, I
So
think starting, that is a really good, point is that where do you start? John from Talking Story is a good person to ask because he's familiar with the individual arcs in
mhm,
in these comics. Because yeah, I mean, theoretically, you can go back, you know, 80 years to the beginning of Batman, right? And is that where you're supposed to start,
sure.
or are you supposed to start now when we're 5 or 6 Robins in? Right? I mean, where do we
Yes,
go? It's a
it's
fair
tough.
question.
It's tough because I've always been, for whatever reason, growing up, I loved Batman and I loved the X-Men. Those were like the ones that I
Mhm.
just gravitated to for whatever reason. And there was actually, what was it, maybe a month or two ago? I was like, okay, how do I get into X-Men, right? How do I jump in? Where do I read this stuff? Where do I start? What are the arcs that are whatever? And I was just like, this is this is almost too much. I need to come back to this later.
Yeah.
But someday we'll make it happen
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, the nice thing about comics is that you can get in and get out in 15 minutes.
That's true. Which is similar to manga, right? It just being able to, I mean, Japanese comic books basically, right? So
I am not a manga person. I do have up in my office a copy of One Piece behind, in a display case, locked. And there's a sign that says, in case of viewer count emergency,
right.
break glass. So
Oh, well,
that
I mean,
is,
if you have anything negative to say about it, you might not get the views that you're hoping for, but who
that's
knows?
true. It's more of a joke, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But I actually I was kind of a, I don't know, slow adopter, I guess, of One Piece.
Okay.
Um, I heard about it for so long, and it's so legendary, and there's so much hype around it and all this, and I was like, all right, let me. I'm a big anime fan. I like manga. Let me at least try this. And the East Blue saga, it's the
Hmm.
first 100 chapters, right? I was just like, I mean, it's fun, but it's not like, amazing. It doesn't blow my hair back,
Hmm.
as somebody might say, right?
Sure.
So I was like, all right, well, I'll give it a shot, but I just gave it 100 chapters,
Yeah.
and then I jump in, and the next main arc just blew me. Like I cried at the end, and I was like, okay, I'm here. And then the third one was, even more so with the theme work and everything that really
Cool.
got brought in. So I'm fully bought in. One Piece is incredible. I get it. Everyone's right. It's awesome. So
That's
it's just
awesome.
it's a long road to get there.
Yeah, the only thing my only experience with One Piece is the live action show on Netflix, and I really liked it. It was good.
I'd like to check
Um,
that out.
yeah,
There we go. Respect.
there you go.
I do indeed. Oh, what's up,
Hey,
Britton?
Britain.
Yeah, man. It's. I just wish it's tough with how long it is. It's just such an intimidating entry point for so many people. And I feel like the Netflix show is great, right? Just because it's so contained to how long it is. And it's not, like the anime is so long now, and they're going to redo the anime. So I'll jump in when they do. I talked to Alex about this. I'm going to jump in when they redo the anime. I'll follow that.
Sure.
But I just can't do this 1,000 episode thing that's
Yeah,
already out there, It's too much.
I
Too
hear
much.
you.
It's too
Lots
much.
going on.
Yeah. Are you open to any other manga that might be out there, or are you just kind of like, yeah, it's just not really a medium that's for me?
I won't say it's a medium that's not for me because I haven't read it, so I don't know. And I'd hate to prejudge it whether I like it or not.
Mhm.
Again, my TBR mountain is so big
Yeah.
that it's just a matter of I don't know. I mean, maybe I'll throw it in a community tab and we'll see what, if something gets voted up and then I would do it. But I don't know. I mean, like just some of the books that I'm reading right now are so huge
Yeah.
and they're taking forever. I mean, I'm on a book right now. It's going to literally take me the first 3 weeks of October.
Yeah. The
And
House of Chains?
yeah,
Yeah.
so where I'm going to throw that in, I don't
Mhm.
know. Yeah.
It's tricky. It's tricky
Well,
for sure.
especially when you do BookTube and if you have a TBR, and I try, and it it's hard to do, and no disrespect to booktubers who come up with TBRs and they, fall short for whatever reason. Because for the exception of a handful of people in this, science fiction fantasy booktube space, it's all hobby, part-time, gig. Just it's not, A1 income source. And so sometimes it's just impossible to hit all of these big ambitious TBRs when life comes calling or work gets busy or your family requires you or something like that. So I've tried to do as best as I can. So far, so good in my first 11 months on BookTube. But this month might be the first one that I don't actually complete the stated TBR. So,
Yeah.
fingers crossed that I can
At the
rock
same
it
time,
out.
yeah, I completely understand that. Like, I'm very much, if I say I'm gonna do something, I wanna try to do it, but at the same time, as you also said, it's like, what's the pressure, you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, it's just something we're doing for fun, and if you wanna change a book out because you just really don't wanna read this thing, or like me, like, I get to talk to Christopher Rocchio here in a week or
Mhm.
so I was
Yeah,
like,
that'll
"I
be
gotta
awesome.
make sure I gotta go. I'm changing everything. I gotta go read Ashes of Man first," and,
Sure.
like, that stuff is, and I also think about, like, at least for me, my channel's small enough, it's like, nobody cares, right? Like, most people, no one's gonna notice even, right? It's just whatever. It is what it
Yeah,
is.
I mean, I think to some degree, I think it was Jimmy Nuts that said that when your channel's new and it's small, now's the time to take all the risks, right? Because you got nothing to lose, right? I mean, not that
Sure.
you do anyway. I mean, I put out videos all the time that I know aren't going to perform like other videos, but
Yep.
they're things that I like to do. So, yeah, but especially when you're just getting started, yeah, I mean, this is the time to just do whatever you want and see what you
For
like.
sure.
It's like Triple B's doing his, sort of his, what's he calling it? I don't remember. The tea, spilling the
Yeah, the
tea, so to
VC.
speak. Yeah, and I love that.
Yeah, they're
And
awesome.
there, I can talk to him and give him a couple of pointers. I think what might work even better for him. But the fact that he's rocking that out, I love it. It's totally ambitious and
Absolutely.
it's unique, and it's uniquely him. Mad respect for doing that. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, and I just today, a video went up for me doing, like, a preview of the new anime season that's starting,
Okay.
which is not about books at all, right? And I made that video knowing it's gonna get way less views than everything else,
Yeah.
but, like, I don't care, right? I like that stuff too. I want my channel to be mostly books, but also about just general story stuff overall, you know?
Yeah.
So it's
I
like
mean, you got to make videos that interest you or
yeah.
you run into the burnout, and fighting, to figure out how to grow a channel or what's going to get the most YouTube impressions is something that I unfortunately have on top of mind way too much.
Mm,
Thank God I have John to talk me off the ledge when that happens, because he barely pays attention
right.
to it. But my entrepreneurial side is always like, hey, I want to, maximize everything that I'm doing, and I want to get my videos out to as many people as possible. And how do I make that happen? But when you're in an algorithm type environment, only so much is really under, your control. And
Absolutely.
so it's like almost like just make the videos you want to make,
Yeah.
because you could make a video that you think would just do great and really boost your channel, and whatever reason just doesn't, land any different than that creative one that you wanted to try, but you put it on hold because you wanted to make something a little bit more suitable, quote unquote suitable, uh, for booktube. It's impossible to know. So
It
might
is.
as well do what you want.
Might as well. I'm glad you brought that stuff up because that was definitely a topic that I wanted to talk to you about with the entrepreneurial life and that
Mhm.
mindset and just how you bring all that to YouTube in a very you're just honest and sincere about it, right? And you mentioned this to Vera also in your live stream with her the other day about just like it's okay if one of your goals is to grow your channel. You don't have to pretend like it's not.
Right.
And I love that. I love just that authenticity. I think people can really see that in your videos, and I think that it's a it's a mindset that I certainly can relate to a lot. Because I mean, that's I think most of us would be lying if we said that we would love to stay at 200 subscribers forever and just always,
Right. I
you know what I
mean,
mean? Like,
you're
ah,
making a video because you have something to say and you want other people to hear what you have to say. Otherwise, you would just go talk into the mirror,
right.
right? You wouldn't start a channel. You just go talk in the
Yeah,
mirror.
and you wanna talk to more people too, right? Like, for even just myself, I've been doing this for 2 months, right?
Mhm.
And the as the channel grows, like, it's just that's the natural course of things. You get opportunities to talk to more and more like, just people notice your channel, and you're like, "Oh, this dude's cool. Let me check it out," and then you get to connect with them, you make friends with more people. Like, it's not about money, right? It's about the connections and the all of those sort of opportunities, and of course, like, I don't hate money. I'm not stupid, right? Like getting
Sure.
a little bit of money for something that's fun is awesome,
Yeah,
but that's not the goal.
especially if you've put in any kind of significant money into your gear or into just even the time that you spend editing a
Yeah,
video
true.
or doing whatever. It's not a crime to want to, be reimbursed for that to
Yeah,
some degree. I mean, it's not, I don't know. I find nothing wrong with wanting to not be in the hole doing booktube.
yeah. Very much agree. Very much. And as long as you're like, to me, I really liked like what John and Jacob did with the Patreon, where they didn't do anything. They could have started one way earlier than they did,
Hmm.
but they didn't do anything until people were literally like breaking down their door begging for it.
Hmm.
And I think it's easy to get caught in that trap of using it as like a money grab,
Hmm.
and like it's just an early opportunity to try to get a few bucks, and then it builds and whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just I love the way that people, or like you did a similar thing, right? Like it's not something that you just do immediately as soon as you possibly can. It's making sure that people actually want it and you can provide more value to them.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
obviously, the time and effort you put into it, being compensated for that is awesome, right? That's
Y
how it should be.
Yeah,
That's how
if I could do it all over again, I'd have started my Patreon maybe 3 months after I did. I think I
and
started it too early. I think the channel was a little bit too small. It's still very small, but I would have waited just a little bit longer. And but the one thing I'll say about Patreon or channel memberships, because that's another avenue that I'm going to be exploring. I joined this YouTube boot camp thing that I got invited to about channel memberships,
oh, cool.
because there's some cool perks for people that want to support you on YouTube as a channel member that you can't do for them if they're only on Patreon.
Mm,
But I asked our, I asked our Patreon in a poll at one point saying, "Hey, if I was going to do channel memberships, would you want to stay here? Do you want to move to YouTube channel memberships? What do you want to do?" And you're part of the Patreon. It's a small group, but I like it in the if the aspect that the people that are part of my Patreon are there because they want an avenue to help my channel, and
yeah.
it offers them that. So I don't think it's as much of, some people may look at Patreon as a cash grab or whatever, but I think it's offering people an opportunity to support the creators that they like. And it's not like YouTube is sending me a check every time I do a video saying great video, here you go. um,
Mm,
if people like your channel and they are cool with a couple of dollars a month because they want to support you and they think about where they spend 8 quarters a month, it's not that big of a deal. And it is meaningful to the creator, to the owner of the Patreon, to go, hey, you know what? Someone is supporting me in a way beyond views. And the views are fantastic. Don't get me wrong. And that's really the most important. But if somebody wants to go above and beyond and just say, hey, I like this person, I want to support them in a different kind of way.
yeah.
Patreon allows that and channel memberships allow that. So yeah, I'm for those.
Yeah, I totally that's, so I'm in your Patreon, right? Which
Yeah.
is and I did it for exactly that reason. I watched your channel for a long time, and I'm very stingy with money, right? Like,
Mhm.
anybody who knows me in real life, I hate spending money. I hate it, except for on books.
Yeah.
But,
Which you can now write off, by the way. So keep a list of everything you buy because it's an
there you go.
expense.
Even before you're monetized?
Mhm.
Oh, okay, noted.
Absolutely. The minute you
Yeah,
started this endeavor, whether you get paid or not, this is a side hustle. So yeah.
let's go. Okay, perfect. But yeah, so, like, I was watching your channel for a long time, and, like, I just like you as a person, right? Like, the content obviously is cool, but I don't know, for whatever reason, the people's personality is what I connect to. That's why I connect to, John and Chance, like, all these people. I like you guys as people. And for me, who's so stingy, to step out and be like, yeah, I want to throw a few bucks to this
Yeah.
person every month just to support them because I like them.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's the magic of it, is having people who just want to support you because you're you, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about if you've ever had self-esteem issues and you start a Patreon or you start a channel even, and people watch you and they like your video and they comment that it was meaningful to them. Boy, does that help
Oh, dude,
self-esteem. I mean, you
you're
know,
you're you're describing my experience perfectly. Yeah.
yeah, it's great because, I think that a lot of people, and I think I've said this before on a one for the road, but a lot of readers tend to be introverted in general. And because reading is a solitary hobby for the most part, and we come on to BookTube to share our solitary experiences with other people. But, a lot of the times we're not so sure if what we have to say is worth listening to, right? Our BS meter, when we
Sure.
say things in our head, isn't always, activated. But, when you put out some videos or you go on a live stream or whatever, and people agree with you, or maybe they don't, but they have a meaningful reason why they don't, it's like, wow, this is cool. Okay. People are interested in what we have to say, be it agreement or another point of view. And
Yeah,
I think for people that a lot of the, like I said, a lot of readers are kind of by nature introverts. It's a nice way of sliding that scale a little bit to become more of a well-rounded personality and to bring some of that extroversion in.
absolutely, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I get that feeling every video. I get that feeling or even just commenting on other people's videos. I'm like, oh, they liked it. Even just that little interaction
Mhm.
is cool. Or this having people in the chat. Well, the first live stream that I did, I was when I because John was my first guest, right? So I emailed him and I was like, hey, I can't promise that anyone's going to show up in the chat. It
Yeah.
might just be you and me. Are you okay with that? And obviously he was like, yeah, who cares?
Yeah.
But it blows my mind. And then to see people talking back with like what we're saying or just talking to each other I'm getting behind in the chat. I'm sorry, everybody, but I didn't want to disrupt the flow of
Oh, no,
that
it's
conversation. But
but see, when I do, like, For Whom the Bell Tolls, I love showing chat because it's like
yeah,
they become part of the show,
yeah, for
and
sure.
it's fun. And I used to, before I had a channel, and I would go on somebody's live stream, and whether it's Mike or whoever, but especially Mike, when he would throw one of my comments up on screen, man, that just made me like the channel
It's
even
cool.
more.
Yeah, it's
It's
cool
like,
for
oh,
sure.
cool, this guy likes what I have to say enough to
Yeah.
show it on a stream, so rock on.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. That's the only downside, and this is what the fifth one of these that I've done,
Hmm.
fourth or fifth. That my the only I love that too. The only thing I don't want is to disrupt my chance to talk to this cool person that I'm talking to. So I
Sure.
just want to make sure I'm not too distracted. But
Absolutely, and what I learned from the GOAT, Jimmy Nuts, when it comes to this stuff, is sometimes you just flash the comment. You don't
yeah,
have
that's
to
true.
engage it, you don't even have to read it, although reading it is helpful sometimes if it's something that is, worth reading, because so many people, and you'll find this out the more you do, just listen to these live streams like a
Hmm.
podcast.
Yep.
They don't watch them. So when we just respond to a question without reading that question ahead of time, the audio listener has no idea what we're talking
Yeah.
about.
Right. Speaking of cool guests, Cal mentioned trying to get Vera on here. She has an open invite. I've mentioned this to her before. She's very busy, but I would love to talk to her. She's awesome.
I'll throw in my 2 cents with her next time I chat with her.
Yeah, there we go. Get that part two up.
There you
Tom
go.
Orange is here. What's up, Tom?
Hey, Tom.
I gotta get caught up on the rest of his videos too. I'm
I
so
just wa-
behind on
I
everybody
just
else.
watched one of his videos last night, and boy, do I have some disagreements with you, Mr. Orange. We're going to be chatting.
The Tutor Ramble guys, yep. Those are great dudes. Chance trying to bring back the mustache. Best of luck. I don't know. It's tough to beat Tom's for
I
sure.
mean, yeah, Tom is, yeah.
That's tough. Oh, here's a good question. Okay. Wow, I feel special asking me directly. Tips on starting a book too. So here's what I did, right? And this is obviously might differ based on your situation and how you like to do things, your psychology, etc. But for me, I I wanted to get into this for a long time and I just kept putting it off because I was, you know, kind of scared to put myself out there, to be honest. I'm It's not that I'm uncomfortable on camera. I That's one nice benefit of what I do for my job is like I do a lot of stuff where I'm talking to a camera.
Hmm.
So that helped immensely. But it's still just the vulnerability of putting yourself out there about this hobby that you love, and what if people don't vibe with it? What if I have 3 subscribers for the first year? No, and eventually I just sort of was like, I just want to do this and I don't even care if nobody sees it. I just want to talk about stuff because it's just fun to talk about.
Yeah.
And so that's what kind of got me finally to do it. And then in terms of the actual like logistics of starting, I tried to think about, what what do the people do that I like to watch? And so obviously, like you can just turn on your webcam on your laptop or whatever and just talk and upload it, or on your phone or whatever you want to do, and that's awesome. Like Chance has a very sort of minimal setup, and his videos
Hmm.
are fantastic, right?
Hmm.
But I think a lot of that is because of his personality that really comes through in those videos. And for me, I like that kind of style a lot. I do, just for my pure viewing experience, the visual experience purely, I really obviously like the talking story vibe, right? Like I clearly took a lot of inspiration from that. That I just wanted to set something up that was really easy.
Hmm.
That it's literally just a camera pointed. I got this little desk for $30 on Amazon.
Hmm.
It's pointed right at me to just have this in the frame, and that's it, right? So it's super simple. The lights I got because they're in the talking story description exactly what they used, so I bought those because okay, those must work. And I spent a little bit of time, researching about a microphone or a camera or whatever. But the the ultimately what I ended up doing is picking a simplistic setup over something that was completely cost free,
Mhm.
just because I'm extremely busy and I need something that's really quick and convenient that I still feel, proud and happy with to put out there and into the internet. So I did end up buying a camera. I did buy this microphone. I bought a tripod to put the camera on. Um, bought these lights, whatever. So I did put some money into it, not a ton, but it, certainly more than, a few $100s for sure.
Sure.
And to me, it's super worth it because it makes my life easier and it lets me just, I sit down, I turn on the lights and whatever, and I can just go. And the convenience is really the cheat code for me personally. So that was really the process that I went through. And then what I've learned from my other job where I do a lot of it's essentially I do like one-on-one coaching. It's like online personal training
Mhm.
basically. And there's a lot of educational parts to that. We just do educational videos and posts and whatever. But what I've learned from that is a workflow of batch recording things. So it's not just always frantically, oh, I have to post today. I need to upload a video today. Let me set up my thing. Let me script something. Let me whatever. So I created a system from the front end of I'm going to sit down for a few hours on a Saturday or a Sunday, record the 2 videos I'm going to post the upcoming week, have my template for the description that I can copy and paste into YouTube. Like just making it as systematized as possible has helped me immensely. And then the last thing that I'll say, and I'll stop rambling, is I don't script anything. I might jot down a couple talking notes, but otherwise I just want to go. Because one, that's easier for me. It saves time from scripting. Two, when I'm reading something, I don't like sounding like robotic or rehearsed. I just want to sound conversational.
Sure.
And then three, like those are a lot of the channels that I really like are the people who are just kind of off the rip, just do it and don't edit stuff and all that. So that's why. So it's a minimalistic style, but the effort that I put into was getting the equipment to make my life easier and making the systems to make my life easier. That's how I did it.
Cool. I have a couple of answers for that if you would like them.
Yeah.
I have
Good.
I have a philosophical answer and a practical answer. Philosophical answer to that, Josh, is first ask yourself why you want to have a booktube channel and really drill down in your mind why that is. Because that'll direct the kind of content that you make. I noticed that you'd made a comment that you're on Bookstagram, but you're camera shy and you don't have any video editing skills. So prior to starting Belltube, I had never opened a video editing piece of software in my life. And if you ever comment on any of my videos, I'm happy to reply with a comment with what I use and a couple of YouTube videos that I watched that showed me exactly what to do. And it is not rocket science. I promise if you can log into YouTube and you can participate in a live streams chat, you can do video editing. It is really, really simplified. So I think philosophically speaking, you got to figure out what you want your channel for. What's the purpose? Um, and then cater your content to that. On a more practical level, depending on your budget, and you can certainly use your phone or whatever, but if you are going to put money into anything, put it into your audio first, because you will be amazed how many people flip off of video, meaning they bounce off of it because the audio is bad. Or there are people that really prefer to listen to these things more like a podcast than a visual medium. And if your audio is bad, that will basically not give you the opportunity to get what your message is out. So I think I would probably pay real close attention to audio. And then just as a kind of a bonus tip, I would be sort of careful about getting into your information right off the rips. So YouTube has a metric and they want to know how many people bounce off your stream within the first 30 seconds and how many are still there after the first 30 seconds. So if I was starting this all over again, I would pay more attention to delivering some value in that first 30 seconds right away and not the whole welcome to this. Well, that was almost a Philip impersonation, but he's got 50,000 subscribers, so he
He's
can
doing all right.
he
Yeah.
can do whatever he wants. But I would get into the meat of the video right off the bat, and I would stay away from an overly long intro meaning like, like an intro page that goes on for 30 seconds, because honestly, people will bounce off the video and you'll never get your chance to get your message out. And it's hard to know if what you're doing is working, if people aren't sticking around for the purpose of your video. They're just noping right out of it. So I think if I was new, I would get into the meat of the matter immediately. And there's booktubers that do that. And I read their comments, and it's amazing how many people just say, I love and appreciate so much that you just start and you just go. If it's a top 10 list, they don't even say anything. They go coming in at number 10, and it's boom,
Yeah.
right off the bat. And because booktube viewers are so inundated with overly long intros, and guess what, you guys, I have an overly long intro. So, but I like my intro, so it's a little bit
Intro's cool.
different. My
Yeah.
intro is a little bit more setting the stage for what's to come. It's part of the storytelling. And the way that I do it now, I almost do a cold open longer that goes into that 30-second mark. And I don't even run the intro for the first 30 seconds because I don't want people to nope out of it at that point.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, hopefully that's some practical information for you there too.
Yeah.
And Phil, welcome.
That's really funny.
The best of delayed interest.
That
Philip's hilarious. You guys, I'm telling you,
Philip is hilarious.
he is hilarious. I mean, he gets this, obviously he gets the credit for being the doctor that he is, but I'm telling you guys, he's a funny dude, no doubt.
That last part brought up one last thing that I'll say on this too, and also, by the way, just like what Brian said, if you want to email me or something, I'm happy to tell you like what equipment I use or whatever. It's nothing special, but if that's helpful. But the thing that I'll throw out that I was very intentional about this as well was once I decided I was going to make a channel, I made the YouTube channel. I didn't upload any videos yet, but I made the name and I put the little profile picture and whatever. And I was much more attentive to adding comments to all my favorite channels, videos, and all this kind of stuff, interacting, just being very intentional about doing all of that. And just trying to make sure that people would recognize my name if it popped up. And then when I started, the idea was that I wanted to have some people that I had kind of networked and built some small degree of relationship with that I could then ask them to come on a YouTube stream. And, especially people with a bigger channel than you, right? Like, I don't think there's nothing wrong with that as long as you're doing it because you just enjoy the content that you're making, the conversations you're having and all that. There's nothing wrong with like, well, this person has 10,000 subscribers. I have 200. Some of them might subscribe to me if I do a live stream with them and it's really great and they love it. And, they realize, oh, this new dude is cool too. I just had never heard of his channel before. Like, kind of using the community to help push yourself forward, I think is helpful. As long as you don't do it in a weird skeevy way, I think that nothing wrong with that. And that's certainly something that I was intentional about too. And it seemed to have worked out okay so far. I mean, my channel is not huge, but it seems to have gone pretty well so far. So
yeah, I mean, if you can build some community before you start the channel, you got a built-in following, right off the bat, because people want to see what you're going to do. They've heard the name. Now they want to know, what's this guy going to get up to?
There you go. Chance might want my mic. This mic is not, and this mic was like $75 also. It's not, I got it also on like a Prime Day deal. So it was like $60 or something. So look out for them sales. We got Black Friday coming up too. So it might be a good time. I want to know what this feet mystery is. That seems, not sure what we're talking about here.
It's in one of Philip's thumbnails.
Okay, I must have missed this one, but that's funny. Vera's awesome, dude. She makes me want to reread The Witcher because I dropped the series after like I think I was halfway through book 4, book 5. And I was just like, this isn't for me, dude. But then listening to her talk about it, I'm like, I just missed a lot. So be interested in trying it again sometime.
Cool.
We will see. All right. Well, as another question for you, sir.
Sure.
Kind of piggybacking off of kind of the YouTube talk, right? Is you kind of run with this entrepreneur lifestyle, right? Like you are an entrepreneur. You have your own business. You do your thing, Bell Flask, all this stuff. I would love to hear you just kind of talk about that a little bit and like what drew you to that. You were in the nightclub business for so long, and like what drew you to that lifestyle rather than the let me go get my 4-year degree get the
Sure.
adult job, get married, have a kid and a dog and a white picket fence, and kind of live my life, which is fine. I'm not
Yeah.
talking down to
Yeah.
that at all. I think that's amazing. But just
Yeah.
what made you go a different path?
My family really. So my dad had his own business. My grandfathers on both sides had their own businesses. And it's just that's how I grew up. It was never really entrepreneurialism is really in my blood
Mhm.
and our entrepreneurship is in my blood. And we never ever, at the dinner table growing up talked about get a job, work hard. My dad was very, tough about working hard and keeping your options open and getting good grades and things like that. But it was never, so what are you going to have on your job resume? What type of job are you looking for? It was a matter of if I was going to maybe work at his company that he had, which he ended up selling, or if it would be something that I would go do on my own. I mean, I had lemonade stand going from the time I was probably 7 years old
Okay,
out on the
cool.
corner of my street. So I think that that's just sort of what I grew up on as normal, right? I thought, and because of that, I became very job adverse, and I've had many jobs, and I've liked just a couple of them a little bit. I'm not a
Yeah.
very good employee. It's something that I've heard Mark Cuban say a bunch,
Mhm.
and that's because I just apologies for my phone ringing.
No,
My mother's ears must have been burning when she.
no.
But anyways, so I forgot what I was saying. Oh, so Mark Cuban was talking about just having, and Philip, I do have a photo. I will DM you that of me selling lemonade. You will crack up. Um, I will send you that. But yeah, I mean, I watched Mark Cuban say he would just be a terrible employee because he'd have ideas that he wanted to suggest now and not wait till 2 years or 3 years for promotions to be heard. And
Mhm.
I don't think that there's anything wrong with being an employee at all. If that is in your nature, which it is for 97% of the country, I mean, about 100 and some years ago, 3% of 3% of people were employed and like 97% were self-employed. It was 100, 150 years ago. Most people did their own thing. And when the Industrial Revolution happened, that just switched. All of a
Mhm.
sudden, 3% of the people own their own business and 97 worked for other people. And the culture changed, right? It became about how to get a, get into a good college or how to get a good trade, school education and how to get to work at a good company. And that's just never, ever, that thought has never entered into my mind. I've had jobs before as an adult when my businesses weren't doing great. Cause guess what? As an entrepreneur, you're going to have some great years and you're going to have some terrible years.
Mhm.
And you will one day think you are the smartest person on earth. And there'll be other days you think there is no doubt you are the dumbest person in the universe. So it's like it is a huge roller coaster of emotion in this entrepreneurial, kind of atmosphere. But to me, it's what I am, whether I like it or not. And trust me, Jake, there are so many days I wake up because I sell most of my products on Amazon and I'm really moving away from that. But I
Yeah.
fight with Amazon on a daily basis. And I'll say for, as somebody who buys products on Amazon, as great as they are to buy products from, they're equal and opposite to sell products on. They're just awful to their sellers. And I wake up pulling my hair out all the time, going, I should just go back into real estate because I was a realtor at one point,
Mm.
or I should go back and sell insurance because I've done that before too. Or I should go back and work in hospitality as a GM because when I left my nightclub, I got a million offers to go work for other bigger, restaurants and hospitality
Sure.
nightclubs, bars, whatnot. Maybe I just go do that and get a paycheck and not have to worry about it. But I know myself also well enough, Jake, that I go do that for a month and I go, you know what? I don't like having to be here at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Mhm.
And I want to get here at 9, 10 in the morning, but I can't because the
Yep.
business opens at 8. I don't, that's just not me. I want to be able to get the amount of work done as well as I can, but I don't like the constraints of an employer-employee relationship. It's just who I am. But yeah, I will tell you, it is not for the faint of heart. If you are contemplating it at all, do yourself a huge favor. Keep your day job, save up at least 6 months worth of money in case your entrepreneurial life goes to crap
Hmm.
and you've got money to live off of. And you know what the good news is realistically speaking, employers today, it used to be way back in the day that people would look at your resume, back when I was in college, and if you flipped from job to job too often, they would think that you are unstable and you're never happy
Right.
and you're just looking for, new thrills. And they're, hesitant to hire you because you're just going to be next. Their name will be the next last place you worked. But things have changed now. Now, if you're at one place for 20 or 30 years, they go, "What's wrong with you? You're lazy. How did you
Very
not like want to advance your career and, move to a bunch of different companies?" The whole sensibility of it has very much changed. So the reason why I bring that up is because if somebody is working a job right now and they want to try an entrepreneurial thing and they save up that 6 months worth of money and the entrepreneurial thing either doesn't work or it's slower than it needs to be, and they find themselves needing to go back into the job market again, having that gap is not that big of a deal like it used to be. I think employers respect people that try to do things on their own, and you certainly learn resiliency more as an entrepreneur than you will in doing anything else. And I think resiliency is a key component. If I was hiring people, I want someone who's resilient, who can
Yeah,
take the bad days just as well as the good days. So it's a skill that you're going to get for doing it. Does that answer
absolutely.
your question in a very long-winded way?
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. I always love hear because I'm going a very similar path, and it's always just interesting to hear people's perspectives and what kind of drew them to that. And mine's actually it's sort of the opposite in some ways because I've grown up. My dad worked at the same place for 30 years, right? Um, he was always working his way up. He was essentially second in command of this huge company by the time he was done. Not huge company, but relatively speaking in the industry. But and then my mom was, kind of just bounced around to different stuff. She still to this day will say, "I don't know what I want to be when I grow up." And I just I don't know. I was like, that is not for me. And then having jobs growing, I worked at a Target for like 6 years or something.
Mhm.
And some of that was after I went back to school because I was like, yeah, this isn't, this ain't it. And and now at this point, I cannot imagine the thought of having to clock in at a specific time. Everything I do is answerable to this person and this person above them and this person above them, and I'm expendable, to the nth degree.
Mhm.
And it's just not for me, man. I think so much of that is the freedom that I've experienced in terms of, if I wake up and I don't feel good, I can come back in a couple hours and try to do that thing that I was going to do right away. Or there's just, there's things that have to get done, but it doesn't have to get done at 9 a.m. As long as it's done
Right.
today, we're fine.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. It's just the flexibility of that is it's a double-edged sword because you have to keep yourself accountable, but it's I can never go back now.
It's
It's
hard.
tough.
I mean, there's a certain lifestyle that you get used to.
Mm,
And now, just to clarify everything up for everybody who's listening or watching in chat, I'll share with you that, yeah, you don't have to get to work at 8:01 or 8 a.m. when you're an entrepreneur, but I work 7 days a week.
yep.
So, I mean, if I'm not working on my company, I'm working on Belltube or I'm doing something. So, there's no 5 o'clock Friday clock out and go recharge the battery or go have fun for 2 days. So you'd be
You're gonna work a
surprised.
lot more.
You
Yeah,
are. I mean, you really are. And your brain's not going to turn off because, at 5:01, generally for a lot of employees, it does, whatever they left on their desk becomes someone else's problem for a minute, or it's, you know, future themselves problems for Monday morning, but
exactly.
they can kind of mentally check out. When you're an entrepreneur, it just doesn't happen that way. And if it does, if you find yourself checking out of your own, mind in your own business, you're probably in trouble. So I don't know. Like I said, I promised myself yesterday was going to be a quote unquote Brian day where I was not going to do any of my Belfast work, any of my YouTube stuff. It was just going to be whatever I wanted to do yesterday. That lasted till 9:15
Yep.
yesterday morning.
I can relate because
And
a
that
lot of
is,
times what you
yeah,
want to do is go work on this thing. Like it feels
yeah,
good to move forward in this thing that you like and this goal that you have, and
it
that feeling
does.
of progress is so satisfying.
It does, but the one challenge that I've had with it for me is that when I don't take any time off to recharge, and that's very common that I don't,
Mhm.
is that my own creativity suffers. So I can,
Yeah.
mire through it, but if I take a short period of time, I'm not talking about a week off. I'm not even talking about 2 days off. I'm thinking about full day, not thinking about any of this.
Mhm.
My creative, battery recharges pretty quickly, but not if I'm not taking any time off whatsoever. So
Mhm.
that's a test of an entrepreneur, right? I mean, you the other part of that is that most people are their own terrible bosses when they,
Mhm.
once things aren't going great, they become a lousy boss and they're not great at holding themselves accountable.
Yeah.
So yeah, whole different set of skills that you
It
get doing this
is.
kind of thing.
Yeah, that creative burnout feeling
Hmm.
is something that I'm the same way. And I've kinda come to learn about myself about, like, I'm I'm running down, like, I don't even know, 4 or 5 different streams all at the same time, which sounds chaotic and confusing and too much, but it's like it helps me immensely because I never get fully burned out on anything, right? If I get burned out on thinking about YouTube stuff, well, okay, well, I can go work on this paper that I need to finish for my PhD, or I can go
Hmm.
work on this program for my client who's got a powerlifting meet coming up, or there's so many different things that I can bounce around in that when my brain's just not there for this thing, there's
Sure.
2 or 3 other options, so
Yeah.
that's helped me a lot, and it's really made me realize that career-wise, I want not just a single income source, right? I want 2 or 3 different things
Hmm.
to where I can have that kind of shifting, uh, approach that always keeps me fresh and interested and, just not feeling like, "Man, do I wanna do this anymore? This is just always the same old
Right.
thing?"
Yeah. I mean, I've read some books, and yeah, I may start featuring this every now and then on the channel. I haven't really decided because I know. Hi, Evie. Evie's awesome. Evie sent me the whole Dandelion Dynasty. She
Oh,
rocks.
it's yeah, that's amazing. Evie
No,
is awesome. I need to catch up on her
she
videos
rocks
too.
anyways, but that was just like out of nowhere. But I don't. It's a challenging thing. Like I said, I may start incorporating some stuff into my channel that's a little bit more in the kind of personal development side
Mhm.
of books and audios that I think are useful. I don't know if it'll resonate with the crowd or not, so I need to test it a little bit, but they'd be almost more like full on one for the road episodes, but
Yeah.
in talking about particular books that I found of value. And to your point, Jake, you were talking about something that I've read. I don't remember the name of the author, but it's back there somewhere. And the whole premise is multiple streams of revenue
Mhm.
and just having as many different, revenue streams coming in as possible. They don't all have to be huge, but if a
Right.
couple of them are, tanking or not doing great, you've got a couple other things going on that are, and
Yeah.
all your eggs aren't so much into one basket. So if
Exactly.
I can find that book, I'll send it over to you, share it with you.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be awesome. I think that, videos like that I think would be cool. I think your audience would like it a lot because it's at least from what I've seen in the comments and things like that, like, people really love the one for the road stuff that's not
Hmm.
about books at all, at least usually. So
Yeah.
I think people would vibe with it a lot, and you clearly have a lot of perspective and experience that can be super helpful for I mean, it's been super helpful for me. I love it. I eat that kinda stuff up, so
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, and it's a challenging thing for me. Just candidly speaking, there's many times that I say to myself, God, why am I doing these? Who am I to tell people anything really?
sure, I understand.
And, it's not so much self doubt. It's just like, is this what people are tuning in for? But it's amazing the comments or the DMs that I get just saying, "Hey, all things, all book content aside, I needed to hear your one for the road today, and it made a huge difference in something that I'm personally going through." And for me, that's alone worth having the channel,
Yeah.
because I want to be a source of empowerment for people. I want to be a source of, hey, you're not the only one who's done really stupid things. I've done like
Yeah.
so many stupid things, and I'm older than, according to my demographics, almost everybody that watches my channel. So, man, I wish I would have had somebody that, would come on and just say, hey, you should think about this or you should think about that, because it probably would have been useful to me. So I try to think about, if I was in my 20s or my 30s, what information that I didn't have might help. And that's sort of what the One for the Road stuff is.
Yeah. I love that immensely. Chance is
Thank
trying
you.
to out me here. Uh,
Yeah.
okay, so I I will talk about this more as I get into a better flow of actually working on it, bro. This is it's so I've been trying to chip away at this thing for like a few years, and it's just so hard to find the time to, who would have thought that a PhD and a job and a booktube channel keep you busy?
Right.
But um, I have like 10,000 words written. We're moving. I have a pretty well fleshed out outline. Like we're moving forward. I'm excited about it. It's going to be cool. It's just hard to find the time. But I talked about it a little bit with Chris on my stream. What was that, last week? I think that was last week. So if you're interested, there's my
Hmm.
selfish plug to go
Oh,
give me more views. Watch that live stream.
absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, man, we got a lot of people, a lot of love for the One for the Road. Man, I think. Okay, what a quick plug for my PhD. So I am getting a PhD in what is called integrative biology, which is a much fancier term than what it really is. It's really exercise science, but we get the fancy name because we merged with that department, sort of. So what I'm studying specifically is maximizing muscle growth, and basically how do we fine tune what you do in a given workout. Essentially, I'm trying to be relatively vague, just because the real nitty gritty details are probably not things most of you are interested in. But it's basically, how do you figure out how much to do in a certain workout while sort of, listening to your body versus just always doing a lot, kind of
Hmm.
thing. That's kind of the
Cool.
main comparison. And what sort of metrics can we listen to that help us learn, oh, this is more effective than this, in lieu of like a laboratory measurement, like an ultrasound or an MRI or something that obviously people don't have in the gym when they're in there working out. So it's trying to be practical and give people tools to better fine tune what they're doing to get, as Chance said, maximally jacked. That's the goal.
I'm gonna send you. I'll send it into your email. Photo of me when I was your age, because I used to bodybuild quite a bit, or at
Oh, hell
least
yeah, that's cool.
not so much bodybuilding, but absolutely regular weight training.
Yeah, yeah.
4 or 5 days a week for a long time,
Huh?
and yeah, I mean, I have a very small frame, but I was, definitely cut for sure.
Awesome.
Um, I don't know
I would
what
love to see
happened,
it.
man. 15, 16 years in the nightclub, I don't
It's just
know.
other priorities, man. It's
Just
it's a
glad I made it out alive, so yeah.
oh, I'm sure I've heard some of the stories you've mentioned on your channel and in other live streams and stuff, but man, I'm sure there have been some crazy happenings.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, it's you got some stories for sure.
Oh,
Um,
okay, Evie, I'll post it in the community tab.
there we go. Yeah, I'm excited to see it. Um, okay, one other thing that I have to make sure that I talk to you about, because I am a gigantic Malazan fan,
Mhm.
and I know you're loving it. I just would love to collectively fanboy over Malazan here for a
Sure.
moment. So you are in House of how far into House of Chains are you right
I am 58%
now?
to
Okay.
be exact, not to be exact or anything, but I'm 58% into House of Chains.
Very nice.
And yeah, so this was so not even on my radar. We did a community poll back in February, and I threw Gardens of the Moon up there, and
Mhm.
community votes it in, and I say, okay, fine. And I read Gardens of the Moon and I go, uh-oh. And exactly what I didn't want to happen happened. I loved
Yeah.
it. It
Uh-huh.
was like, I was hoping this would just be a normal book one. I'm like, whatever. And I've heard all the stuff about, hey, he drops you right in and there's no warning and you got to figure it out. I'm like, okay, fine. I'll read the book. And this was coming off of my DNF challenge that I did back in January, where I, got 7 booktubers to give me a book that they quit on, and then I read the whole thing and,
Yeah. That was an
reviewed them
awesome
all.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was just so weird. I mean, these are the kinds of things, like I said, I was brand new. My channel was 60 days old at the time,
Mhm.
not even. And I was like, what can I do that nobody else has done? I was like, I'm going to invent the DNF challenge.
Yeah.
And so coming into February, then it's like, okay, I'm going to do a community poll. I pick up Gardens of the Moon, love it. Go, oh crap. Well, this is a challenge because I'm also reading Sun Eater at the same time, which I also know you love. And it's like, I don't want to read these, simultaneously and then wind up basically doing 2 books a month,
Right.
on Belltube. And so I put down Malazan until I did all of Sun Eater, the main books. And then I went right back to it and I did Dead House Gates. And then I did Memories of Ice last month. And now I am in the House of Chains. And it's just, it works for me. I'm not one of the people that it had to grow on. I just liked it right off the bat.
Same.
And I don't, Mike is notorious for he wants to know kind of what's going on at all times or have some sort of an idea. I
Sure.
don't care. I'm there for the atmosphere of it. And
Mhm.
it drops you into the pale battle right off the bat. And I don't know what's going on. And there's this, flying moon thing that people, I mean, it's
Yeah.
just totally weird. And I just loved it. And, there's nothing been bad about where I'm at so far. And I've been told that there are some upcoming books that are a little bit slower paced than the first 3 or 4 books. I guess I'm ready for it. I wish they weren't super long if they're going to be slower paced, but just part of it,
Yeah. I don't know that I would say that so much. I mean, there are certainly some sections that feel slower paced, but it's
Mhm.
all, as I'm sure you can expect at this point, like, it all is very, very meaningful and important. Like,
Yeah.
none of it, my opinion. We
Yeah.
can't cut this stuff, right? Like, it's all there to build the
Right.
theme and the payoff by the end, right?
Right. And see, I'm also very excited that I am reading the 10 books of Malazan when they're done, right?
Yeah.
And the same I did with Wheel of Time, because there are going to be almost inevitably some slower paced books. Now, maybe not in Malazan, I don't know, but there certainly was in Wheel of Time.
Mhm.
And I think in some regard to the readers that read them, when they came out, that's got to be frustrating. Like,
Yeah.
I'm glad, honestly, that I waited until Disquiet Gods came out to read all of Sun Eater up to now, because there was a couple of books there in the middle that I'm, just okay on. I think that and I don't want to get off Malazan because you asked me about it, but my point is that for the overall flow of the series, for me, Kingdoms of Death and Ashes of Man in the Sun Eater are really required books. But I'm glad that I waited till Disquiet Gods came out to read everything, because otherwise I'd just be kind of left on a that wasn't that was the downer part of the story, sort
Mm.
of same as Dark Age with
Sure.
Red Rising, right? So when Dark Age came out, it's kind of a depressing book because a lot
Yeah.
of lousy things happen, and then waiting for Lightbringer kind of sucked because it's like, God, I got this impression of the series right now that I want it to turn around and get more, yeah, this happened and it's
Mhm.
awesome, not, oh God, I can't believe this is happening and this sucks. So I'm glad that I'm doing Malazan in this way. There's a very long-winded answer to your
Oh,
question, but
I love it.
um, yeah, I'm just, yeah, I'm fired up about it. What do you love most about Malazan?
Oh, man. Part of it was the very thing that a lot of people bounce off of just that you're dropped in and you don't understand everything and you just kinda learn as you go. I've never understood, you say this all the time, like, the criticism of it being such a difficult series and all that. I'm just like, have you guys read epic fantasy before? Like, this
Right,
happens all the time, dude.
right,
Like, you learn as you go through the series.
right. I mean, I
Um
think I think for most people, they run into a couple issues that so much of it is you've got characters that are hundreds of thousands of years old,
Mhm.
and the naming of some of the stuff gets confusing, and character names change quite often, at least so
Yeah,
far,
fair,
which
fair.
can get a little confusing. And the whole quote unquote magic system at least to where I'm at, wholly unexplained. And you just have to interpret it for what it is, because it does seem like a hard magic system, using these warrens in particular ways. And some warrens are stronger than others. And they'll say, oh, this person only uses this warren. So maybe they don't have the kind of power that somebody who uses a different warren has. It's not very much explained, and you got to be okay with that. I think that's probably, if I was just looking at it objectively, going, okay, if I was going to be confused about something, what would it be? And it would probably be character names. It would probably be the shifting of timeline a little bit, and not really totally understanding how magic is supposed to work.
Yeah.
But it's cool. It's still an awesome
Yeah, it's cool.
story,
I
and
think that's all fair. Yeah.
none of that is vital to your enjoyment.
Right.
And I suspect all of this becomes clearer the deeper you get into these books. They're not short books, right? So 10 Malazan books is probably the equivalent of 20 other books,
Yeah.
right? I mean, if you read the Dresden Files, this is probably 30 Dresden books.
Mhm. Yeah, there's so much there. That's another one of my favorite things is just the depth that's there. And like we talked about rereading a second very momentarily earlier, but I was like, I will absolutely reread Malazan because there's so much. I feel like you could read this series 4 or 5 times and still find new things.
Mhm.
So I'm very once I what I've decided is once I get all 10 of the Broken Binding editions, I'll do a reread through all 10 of those. So it'll still be
Cool.
a few years from now still, but
Yeah, I mean,
um,
it's like I ordered the Broken Binding ones as well, and I just couldn't wait. I mean, I don't
yeah,
know when Memories of Ice is gonna ship, and it's like, I don't wanna wait another 4 months to do this.
uh-huh.
So, yeah, I had to just do it on
You just gotta jump in.
I did it on Kindle because there was no trade paperback available, um, for Memories of Ice, and mass market paperback in my eyes just do not agree on anything anymore.
Okay,
So it's like, all right, I guess I'm reading it on Kindle. And
sure.
yeah,
That's
it's
fair.
just nothing like having that big floppy,
Mm,
trade paperback, or, hopefully soon the Broken Binding editions.
yeah, that'll be a and just the art in those is unbelievable.
Oh,
Um,
I can't wait.
yeah,
I just
it's
got a
oh,
notification that I've got a Broken Binding book coming today, which I'm quite
ooh,
excited about, which you'll see me open on the Patreon, Mr. Jake. So
ooh, that's exciting.
yeah,
You were on both services, right?
I am on both services.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
okay.
was on, I mean, when they started the sci-fi subscription service, I signed up for that right away. And so I was able to
I
get
wish I
in.
would've.
And the reason, and honestly, the reason why is because I've been on the fantasy waiting list for like a year. And I was like, I don't know if this is gonna be another year or not, but I have so much FOMO on these Broken Binding editions coming out that it's like I want to get on something.
Mhm.
And it's like, and Tom will hate me for this comment, but like I skipped the last subscription for this the sci-fi one because it is a 3 body problem.
Free Body Realm.
And I just didn't love it. So I was like,
Yeah,
I'll skip that one. But I did do the Andy Weir ones, which are, back there somewhere on the shelf.
sure.
But yeah, but like last month, my spot on the waiting list came up for fantasy tier 2. So yeah, I know, Tom, I should have bought those books and just sent them to you. But
Tom, that's what you get for rating physical books the worst out of these other ones.
yeah,
There's your payback.
yeah, but
But,
yeah, and
the
with Capricious Fox on hardback, generally speaking, I do like hardbacks a lot, but Mike has made a comment once, and this has actually happened to me, where I got sleepy in bed and dropped Oathbringer on my face in hardback. And I was like, oh my God, I like broke my face. Like,
Yeah,
not doing
not
this.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm generally if I can pick, I would have hardback everything if I could choose, but it's just so
Mhm.
expensive.
It
So,
is. It
usually
is.
I'm paperback for that reason. I actually really like mass market paperbacks. Like, as long as the cup like, when I do Realm of the Elderlings, I will
Mhm.
not do the mass market ones because I just don't like the American covers. I like
Yeah.
the UK covers.
Yeah.
But, like, I do in general like, I have the mass markets of Malazan, and I like them a lot.
I'm telling you, I did this video last December on my top 10 fantasy series of all time, and Realm of the Elderlings came in at number 1, but this Malazan business is threatening. So look
Speaking of
out.
that, somebody mentioned I think early in the stream, and the conversation was way different. I was going to come back, and well, here we are. We're circling back. Somebody
Yeah.
asked you what your favorite Hob book was.
Assassin's Fate, the final one.
That's the last one.
Yeah,
That's actually very good to hear.
which I know is a hot take because there's a handful of booktubers that were let down by it, or they just
Mm,
didn't. I don't know. It just didn't work for them the way that they had wanted it to.
sure.
I I loved it. I had a book hangover from it, and I don't get book
Mm,
hangovers much. Meaning that I just have to like not read for a week or two because it was so
yeah.
impactful. That book, Dark Tower, was like that. Maybe those were the two biggies that I found book hangover after for sure.
Cool.
Because I was with Fitz for 16 books. Well,
Yeah, that's a
not all
lot.
16, but was living in that world for 16 books. And to see it come to a definitive end was like, oh, kind of felt the same way about Sandman Slim actually as
Mm.
well. But now Richard Kadri, my pal, put on Twitter that he's writing another book in Sandman Slim.
Oh, there you
So I'm
go.
like, hey, it's not over yet. Rock
Yeah.
on.
Tom going from the Expanse. I got to do Dark Tower. I got to do Elderlings. I got to do. There's so many of these big series that I still got to get to.
Yeah, but I think that
It's
your
tough.
timing is awesome, right? Because you have a booktube channel now. And I
Yeah.
was thinking about that the other day that there's so many series. It's like I can go back and review them, but I read A Song of Ice and Fire when the book's published, right?
Yeah.
So read a long time ago. I read Dark Tower years ago. I read Realm of the Elderlings as they were published. So you're having this opportunity, kind of like what I'm getting right now with Malazan, where you got this ongoing channel and you can read things that are new to you, but they're not new to everybody.
Yeah.
So people tune in to want to find out your reactions to it.
That's
So
true.
you're going to get a lot of that. It doesn't matter if you pick Realm of the Elderlings or Dark Tower or really any of the biggies that are out there. Having a channel is perfect timing to read it because there's going to be people that just want to know what you think.
Yeah, that's true. I keep the hard part with Robin Hobb is I keep putting it off because I know I'm gonna love it just from what I've heard and what I know I like
Mhm,
in books, and I'm like, I know it's gonna be, getting up there in my list of favorites, and I
mhm.
just don't want it to be over, so I keep delaying it more and more, which is silly, but whatever.
Well,
Um,
break it up, right? So do first
yeah,
year and
for
then,
sure.
take a break for a few months and do live ship. Um, I will say that Realm of the Elderlings reads way faster than Malazan. It reads way faster than Sun Eater. It reads way faster than Book of the New Sun. Book of the New Sun reads pretty quick. It definitely reads way faster than Janny Wirt's material.
Okay.
So even though the books are big, they're highly accessible, and the pros is you're not going to need to go back and reread a bunch of stuff like you might in Malazan or you might in Janny Word's
Yeah.
stuff, or for sure Book of the New Sun. So yeah, I think you're going to like it, and I think you're going to get through it quicker than you think because it
Okay.
does read quick and you're used to reading hard material.
Mhm. Yeah, that's definitely exciting because I would love to not wait until after we finish Wars of Light and Shadow to
I
start
mean,
it, but
Wars of Light and Shadow is gonna be a hot minute, right?
yeah,
Because there's
maybe like 2
11
years
books,
almost.
right? And John, John, I swear to God, if you're listening, he cracks me up. He had asked me, this is really how this all happened with this read along. Is he says, "Do you want to do a buddy read Wars of Light and Shadow sometime in 2025?" I'm thinking to myself, yeah, for sure, because I'm reading Malazan right now. I'm going to do a book a month of Malazan somewhere around the middle of 2025. I'll be done with that. And we'll rock out Wars, Light, and Shadow. Next thing I know, he's on a weekly reader and he's like, hey, guess what? We're going to be doing Wars, Light, and Shadow starting in January. And I'm like, huh? And I'm like, okay, guess we're starting in January and we're going to be doing one every other month. And I'm like, we're not doing one a month? Okay, I guess we're doing this for 2 years.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I'm rolling with it. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
that's amazing. Yeah, I
Yeah, and
can't wait to follow along.
the cool part is that there's lots of other booktubers that have been invited that are going to join on screen.
Mhm.
Janny's going to join on screen as her availability is there. There's so many other booktubers and viewers that are joining us for this journey as well. And some will drop off, right? I mean, Janet,
Sure.
just having read Janet Word's stuff, it's not for everybody, and she'd be the first to tell you that. So that's nothing, inappropriate to say. She's very clear that her works aren't for everybody, but for those that are, they're going to be into this. And what I did was I asked Philip and I asked Jimmy Nuts at the time, because I didn't know you well enough to for you to know my tastes in reading. But I said,
Sure.
guys, apparently I'm starting Wars of Light and Shadow in January, which means I have to put a timeout on Malazan because I'm not doing both of those at the
Mm,
same time. Wouldn't be good for my channel, wouldn't be good for my brain. Just I don't want to try to remember these two
a
huge
lot.
series simultaneously. And so both Jimmy and Philip said, all right, read through House of Chains, then stop. And you can go do Midnight Tides February, right? When you take a break off of Wars of Light and Shadow. Or if I think I'm going to do DNF Challenge Part 2, which would
Ooh,
be in February. So Midnight Tides might have to wait till April, but yeah, it's what I'm doing with it. I
I like
don't
that.
know. I've lost the conversation. I forgot
Oh, I don't care.
what we were
Yeah,
talking about.
it's a great place to stop.
Yeah.
Also, by the way, it's a good recommendation.
Yeah.
I honestly, it helps me immensely that you guys chose to do every other, or I guess that John chose to do every other month.
John chose to do
Yeah,
it.
because that'll be, I usually have 60 to 90 minutes where I can read, per day on average. Some days are less. So like it's just going to take me a while to get through those books, right? So, um, it's just going to be nice to be able to not only read Wars, Light, and Shadow in 2025.
Well,
So,
I think in some regard, in all fairness to John, this will keep people interested in not dropping out
mhm,
because, like you said, people have lives, right? And if they start to get a book or more behind, they're out,
yeah,
right? Because then they don't want to watch it anymore because they don't want to get spoiled. And it's just, so I think that he's right. I'm wrong. The way that I wanted to do it was very selfish, Brian, because I like to binge books. And if there's a book out in a series that I like and I haven't read it yet, I'm reading it. And
sure.
so if I finish, Curse of the Mistwraith, and I want to go to book 2, um, then I want to do that. And I don't want to wait till March, but he's right. And I think that for the effectiveness of this read along, Brian has to be patient. And maybe I'll have to do a one for the road on how Brian has to be
There
patient.
you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I think it'll be good too. Like what I've noticed with myself about with Malazan and now with Sun Eater is as much as I want to grab the next one right away,
Mhm.
if I let it sit there for a month or two, I get so much more out of it. Like I just get a lot more layers kind of come up as it just marinates in my brain.
Sure. Yeah,
Which
and that makes sense too.
sure. And you'll get I don't know, do you plan on reading the Esselmont books as well or just the Erickson 10?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm gonna probably rely on you and Jimmy and Philip for all of that.
Okay.
And if there's a way to go about it without it overtaking the TBR, because there are some bigger series that I haven't read yet, and I don't want to turn the rest of my life on
Yeah.
BookTube into Malazan when there are legit other series. Like we talked about Dandelion Dynasty, there's a bunch of them. I just did a video not all that long ago. I was ripping Theo off when he was talking about his priority series to
Yeah.
get started. And there was 10 of them on that list. So I want to get to them. None of them are longer than Malazan or Wars of Light and Shadow or
Mhm.
Wheel of Time. So I think I'll be able to get a bunch of them in
Nice. Yeah.
relatively quickly.
Yeah. Well, if you I think the nice thing about the Esselmont books is you can wait. You don't have to read them at the same time as the Erickson ones.
Hmm.
They do kinda happen concurrently and then go past the end of the Crippled God, but
Okay,
you can like, I read all 10 of Erickson's and then went back
cool.
and did the oh, now my phone's going off. Sorry about that. And then, but what I will say just about those is, if you love the world as much as you are so far, and because you mentioned earlier how much you love, like, the atmosphere that's there in the book,
Hmm.
Esselmont does atmosphere like nobody else that I've read so far.
Awesome.
Like it's incredible. So,
Awesome.
and that one is more than anything I've ever read is one that as I'm reading it, I'm just like, am I even liking this? Like at times,
Yeah.
other times it's epic and amazing, but there's definitely parts I almost put down like 4 out of the 6, and
Wow.
then I finish it and it sits in the back of my head for a few months, and I'm just like, that was incredible. What was I think? Like it really just has grown as it sits in the back of my head.
Cool.
It's a really interesting reading experience. Those.
Cool. I'm gonna do a video on atmospheric books, and
Ooh,
I think that there'll definitely be some Malazan to pull from there for sure.
nice. I look forward to that video.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Uh,
I like atmospheric books. They're not for everybody, It's just
yeah,
everyone has different tastes. But
for
the
sure.
thing about it is that if you find booktubers who your tastes align with, say 90 to 95%, there's still going to be 5 or 10% you totally disagree on.
Sure.
So that's just how it goes.
Right, exactly. That's I mean, it'd be like that sometimes, I
Hmm.
mean, I've had that watch me have that with you and all the little RPG stuff if I wind up not liking it, but,
Well,
um,
like I said, in particular, that's almost like learning a new language or a new thing altogether. And
sure.
if you kind of compare it to epic fantasy or space opera or whatever, it doesn't line up one for one. It's a different animal altogether.
Mhm.
And I think you need to have those beers, so to speak, to decide if it's for you or not. And an hour, certainly not. And if for whatever reason, let's say you put another couple hours into Dungeon Crawler Carl, and it's just still isn't happening for you, try the other one that I sent you.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely will, I definitely will I wanna try, like I'm not gonna give up on a genre without trying, like,
Mhm.
multiple things.
Yeah, because I think you'll like Awaken Online too. And and Awaken Online, I did not do audio on. I read it.
Okay.
So
Interesting. Yeah, that'll be, I'm looking forward to trying because I commented on one of your videos. I think it was one of your, like, lit RPG starter guide
mhm,
or, one of your other just recommending, like, places to start, right?
mhm,
That I've seen a lot of, like, isekai anime that are
mhm.
obviously very similar to some of the lit RPG stuff.
Yeah,
So, like, I have some experience with the, like, video game aspects coming
yeah,
in, and you open the menu and do all this stuff, look in your inventory, and here's the loot from killing the thing, and
right.
but it didn't catch me off guard, you know, in that sense. It just is it's interesting to hear those things, either read those things or have them spoken to me from the
Mhm,
narrator rather
right.
than just seeing it on a
On
screen.
a video
It's
game
definitely
screen.
different.
Yeah, and
We'll
again,
see.
it's acquired taste, and it depends on the narrator, and if you find that, say, they get a new achievement, right, in Dungeon Crawler Carl, or if they get an upgrade in the Good Guys or something like that, and they have choices that they get to pick from, you can pick one of the 5 following, and they read out what those 5 are. It's
Mhm.
addicting to figure out, "Oh, shit, what are these 5, and
Interesting.
what's gonna be their choice, or what would I pick?" And it feels a little bit more interactive. So I think there's
Yeah.
parts that you still need to get to for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna at least I plan to at least finish the book before I make, like, a judgment,
Yeah.
because it's not that long either,
No, it's not.
so,
Yeah. And
um,
then do Awaken Online too and see.
yeah, for sure. What's your favorite video game?
Oh man, Chance, you're killing me here. There's so many that I love for different reasons. I don't know. I can pick one, but I can give you a few. Uh, Definitely Mass Effect 2 is an all-timer for me. Divinity Original Sin 2 is an all-timer for me. I'm really enjoying my Baldur's Gate 3 playthrough. Disco Elysium, you talk about atmospheric. It's the most atmospheric game I've ever played. Again, talk about atmosphere. The Wolf Among Us, which is a Telltale game. That is right up there. I got a lot of them. Maybe I'll have to do a video, do my top
Yeah, there you
50
go.
video game tier rankings.
There you go. That sounds cool. That
I've
which is so
played a
funny
lot of
because
them.
I've heard of all those, but I haven't played a single one. Like,
Oh, man.
I played a lot of video games for, up until I don't even know. Well, until I started going back to school,
Yeah.
to get my degree, and then all of a sudden time was just harder to find, and I had to choose, and these days it's like, okay, video games or reading, like, what, so it's kinda tough.
It's
I
definitely
I wanna
hard.
get back into it.
Man, now I'm thinking about Uncharted is another one. All the Uncharted games are so good. I mean, I'm a real big narrative story driven game,
Yeah.
driven player, and I'm not a looter shooter guy. I mean, I'll play Borderlands or whatever, and it's fine. It's whatever.
Mhm.
But for me, narrative story games are where it's at. So
I'm very much
yeah.
with you. Me and my friends would play Halo or Call of Duty or
Mhm.
whatever, and I was always so bad. I never got good at shooters. I don't know why,
Yeah.
but my favorites were always like God of War or Assassin's Creed or the things where there's actually a story. I mean, there's a story in Halo and whatnot, but like
Yeah.
it's more driven by the story.
I came home from the bar one night so drunk, and I was sitting in front of my Xbox and my TV, right? I'm like, I'm gonna fire up Fortnite. Never played it before. I'm like,
Okay,
I'm just gonna play Fortnite. There's like 100 people that like start in the game, right? And gets down to the last one standing. I was the first one killed immediately. It's like
that would be me. That would be
that's
me.
like,
Well,
yeah, I suck at these games. Yeah.
oh, it's yeah, that's like for any of my anime fans out there who grew up with this, like me, the new Dragon Ball Z game that just came out last week, right? That I'm so hyped to play it, but like I will not play it competitively against other people because I will get trashed immediately. That's just not. I'll play the story and I'll do just fun whatever stuff, but I just I don't know. I'm just
Yeah.
really bad about and like I'm not going to be a competitive gamer in any sense. It's
Yeah.
just horrible. Uh,
I love the interactive medium of storytelling of video games.
yeah,
It's worth a video for sure. I just have to figure out
yeah, you
how to
should.
do it in a way that's unique to me, I think.
Yeah, I had my friend who helped me upgrade my PC was he was like, "Well, yeah, now you can stream gaming on your YouTube channel," and I was just like, "I mean, I guess if people want to watch me be absolutely horrible at what I'm at Elden Ring or whatever," and he was like, "Yeah, probably." So I don't know if people want to see that, then maybe I'll try to start doing that here and there, but
That's
we shall
awesome.
see. We shall see. Um, man, well, this has been amazing to talk to you, sir.
Oh man,
I very much appreciate your
I'm
time.
just Brian. I'm not Sir. So
I just say that to I'll say that to high schooler, I don't care.
yeah,
But
I mean, I'm so happy that you started your channel, Jake. It's fun for me to watch, and we all have our inspirations, right? And I think that you had mentioned earlier today that you pulled a lot of inspiration from John and Jacob, with your setup and your lighting and your gear and whatnot. But I'm here to tell you, you are uniquely you, and I think that we all, start with a starting point, right? And you may have designed your set, to kind of give off that atmosphere, but you're very different and in all the right ways. You're not trying to knock off anybody. You're just being you. And I like the channel. Like I said, there's only a handful of channels that I don't miss a video, and you're definitely one of them. So keep it up, brother. You're doing good.
that is a crazy thing to hear. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Genuinely. This is I feel like I've said this on every video since I started, but like um, you know, John says it all the time, but a lot of people have echoed this that just how amazing the community is. And like they're all I can't emphasize that enough how crazy this has been.
Hmm.
Um, just to see I said this in one of my other streams too that the online community for like my job is very different from this community that it's not all negative. There's certainly are positive people there, but like there's a lot of gatekeeping, there's a lot
Yeah.
of negativity, there's a lot of competition, there's a lot of all this stuff, whereas with this it's like everybody's so nice and welcoming and like it just feels like a big family and everyone's just hanging out and
Mhm.
having fun and there's no pressure and there's no like not sharing somebody's video because you don't want their content to get ahead of yours. It's like everyone's just having fun, and it just continues to blow my mind how amazing this has been for my mental health and just my happiness in general. And like, it's incredible. So thank you to you, thank you to everybody who watches these in the comments, in the live chats, and all this kind of stuff. Shout out to the purple lights. Thank you. I'm a big purple. People know I like purple books. I'm purple in general. I have a bunch of purple in my tattoos. I like purple. It's cool.
Nice.
But
Mine are all black and gray.
it's funny. It's if I went back and did everything again, it would be hard not to go full black and gray.
Hmm.
I don't regret any. Like I love that I just have crazy colors everywhere.
Hmm.
But when you just have everything all black and gray, it looks so nice and and
It's super
flows
uniform
so
in that
nice.
way. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
one big piece that's spread out.
Yeah. Now I just kind of look chaotic, but that's okay.
It's all right. You're chaotic neutral. You're good.
Yeah, I think it contrasts my personality in really interesting ways.
That's good.
Because I'm pretty, you know, I wouldn't say that I'm shy, but like, I mean, I'm a little bit shy, like in person, but just introverted in general,
Hmm.
and I'm kind of quiet and whatever. And then I just have all this crazy, that's
Well,
everyone will just
this will change all this. I mean, you do enough live streams, you
yeah,
start talking to a bunch of people. Like I said, that introvert extrovert sliding scale will
hmm
slide more onto the extrovert side just because, I mean,
yeah,
it's everything is, a habit. And the more you do it, you just get habitually more used to talking to people. And that will, you know, happen in real life too. Like you get used to
yeah,
talking to people on screen, you're going to find that you're just talking to people more off screen.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
amazing. I just, I'm excited to see, where you take all of this, not only just for your channel, but just in life in general. So
yeah. Me
good
too.
stuff.
Yeah, thank you. It's actually really funny. That's already kind of happened in a sense that like in my other life, right? My sort of
Hmm.
professional whatever, where I have these periodically. You'd have a Zoom call with like my PhD committee about what's going on, how you doing, whatever, everything's progressing how we want. And one of my committee members is somebody who is very, very, very highly respected in the industry. The fitness industry is weird that the academics are also practitioners, not always, but sometimes. And there's a lot of crossover between that, and a lot of them, as I'm sure a lot of people would expect, fitness industry is very social media driven.
Hmm.
So you'll have a PhD, somebody who works in a university doing research, who is also an online personality who educates people on YouTube or podcasts or whatever. And one of these people is one of my primary advisors for my PhD, and actually two of them. But this one dude, I was so nervous to talk to him initially, right? Because I looked up to him so much, and I was so nervous. And then through doing, I think it's directly correlated to doing BookTube and just getting more comfortable talking to people and practicing, like you're saying. And then now it's like I can get on a Zoom call with him, and I'm perfectly comfortable. And I joined a D&D group that he plays with, so
Cool.
like I'm literally playing D&D with him now, which is just so crazy. But yeah, it's you're absolutely right. You just the more you do something, the more it
Hmm.
um the more it improves that skill. What is the best can of soup to exercise with when power walking? This I'm glad you asked a PhD candidate for this, right? Because this requires a very academic mindset. The heaviest one you can find, whatever that is, just find the big one. There you go. Anyway, enough rambles here. I'm taking enough of your afternoon, sir, and I know that I said sir again. Sorry, that's just gonna sound weird. I know that you have a lot going on. I got a lot going on too. We actually have some spooky season stuff we got to do, and then I got a
Nice.
comedy show to go to tonight. So that'll be
Awesome.
fun. So I should
Very
go
cool.
take care of some other stuff. But this has been a blast. Thank you so much
Well,
for doing this.
thank you for having me on. And for anybody who's still here or listening, make sure to like this video because
Uh,
it will help Jake get more impressions on YouTube and more people will
go.
find his new channel. So make sure you hit that like button on this video. Super important.
Here we go. Thank you very much. Awesome. Thank you guys in the chat. Thank you anyone watching this on the replay. Let me know what you think. Leave comments. Love talking to everybody there. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you. See you, everybody.